Like, shut the f up.
Right.
You're on Ozempic or one of those things.
Or Wegovy or whatever.
Or you got work done. Like, just stop.
Biggest misconception about weight and obesity is that somehow your weight is under your control.
It's the weight loss wave that rolled through Hollywood and never really left. Doctors praised its clinical benefits for diabetes, TikTok crowned it a miracle, and suddenly the red carpet was full of sharper jawlines and shrinking silhouettes. But behind the headlines and hashtags is a harder truth. Extreme, rapid change often comes with a bill you don't see until much later. Today, we're exploring 10 celebrity transformations that sparked concern, debate, and, in some cases, serious regrets. Before we start, tell me in the comments where you're watching from and the time on your clock right now. I love seeing our global community check in. Ready? Let's talk about what happens when a quick fix becomes a lifestyle, especially when the camera never stops rolling. Jon Gosselin. Jon Gosselin wasn't the name most people expected in this conversation, and that's exactly why his story hit so hard. He jumped in with big motivation and bigger expectations. The pounds came off quickly, roughly 32 in about 2 months, and at first, it felt like the reset he was looking for. But his face told a different story. The roundness that once made him look younger thinned out dramatically, the neck and jaw hardened, and friends and fans started to say the quiet part out loud. He didn't just look slimmer, he looked tired. Then came the crash nobody likes to talk about: access. These medications are expensive, often not covered for weight loss, and they can be tough to secure consistently. When his supply vanished, the weight returned. Fast. Anyone who's ridden that roller coaster knows it's not just about the scale. It's your skin, your elasticity, your sense of control. Imagine a balloon. Fill it, deflate it, refill it. Over time, it doesn't snap back quite the same. Jon addressed the regret publicly with his daughter beside him, and that's the real lesson here. Quick results can set you up for a long-term tug of war your body isn't built to win. Emily Simpson. Emily Simpson's transformation became a lightning rod. She wasn't just working with one tool. She combined a weight loss injection with liposuction, a 1-2 punch that shows dramatic results on camera and in the mirror. But there's a catch Hollywood rarely admits. When you come at fat loss from multiple angles at once, your face usually pays first. Softness recedes, cheeks flatten, the jaw stands out. The word people kept using was unrecognizable. The harshest part wasn't the mirror, it was the comments. Social media doesn't just notice, it narrates. Emily got flooded with accusations and armchair diagnoses until she finally said she no longer steps on the scale. What her journey reveals is something a lot of people only learn afterward. Body fat isn't just bad stuff to remove. In the face, a little serves as structure. Lose it too fast from too many directions, and you get a look that reads less like healthy and more like hollow. That's not a moral failing. It's biology sped up. Heather Gay. Heather Gay's story is striking because she didn't lose a dramatic headline-grabbing number. We're talking 20 to 30 pounds. Significant, yes, but not extreme by celebrity standards. And yet the change landed hard. A sharper jaw, a more angular lower face, and that subtle hollow that creeps in beneath the cheekbones. What really set Heather apart was her honesty. She said the quiet things out loud. That she felt braver and more herself before the medication, that the pressure to be smaller in an industry that rewards smaller can make you feel like you traded something you can't name until it's gone. Her words resonate because they're not about inches or selfies, they're about identity. Hollywood sells transformation as a triumph montage, but identity doesn't always shrink neatly with your measurements. Sometimes you look in the mirror and realize you've been chasing a finish line that keeps moving, and the most important thing you lost wasn't in the frame. Golneza. Gigi. Garachadagi. Gigi is upfront in a way that makes people uncomfortable. She owned the decision. She acknowledged the pressure. She talked about using fillers and Botox as insurance against the gauntness that can follow rapid weight loss. That alone tells a bigger story. When the solution requires a second solution to fix the side effects of the first, it's not a simple glow-up, It's a regimen. Her numbers were stark, from around 138 pounds to roughly 110 in short order, a steep percentage drop for most frames. The result? A face that went from soft to sculpted overnight, pronounced contours where there used to be gentle curves, and a general look that read as dramatic rather than gradual. Critics raised health concerns. Supporters applauded her transparency. The truth sits somewhere between. This is a high-pressure town where the camera adds weight, youth is a currency, and the fastest route is almost always the most tempting, even if your body would have preferred another path. Barbie Ferreira. Barbie Ferreira's transformation came with a twist of irony painful to watch. An actress celebrated for playing a character who wrestled with body image suddenly became the epicenter of a "what happened to her" internet storm. The changes were unmistakable. Full cheeks turned to planes and angles, jawline carved out, a kind of intensity in the eyes that only shows up when the fat pads around them fade quickly. The reaction was ugly and loud, people questioning if it was even the same person in new photos. Did she confirm anything? No. Did the internet? Immediately. What seems undeniable is that the shift was fast, and fast changes look different from slow ones. Slow changes look like evolution. Fast changes look like shock. Sources around her framed it as a professional reset, a way to be seen differently after leaving a defining role. Whether or not medication was part of that story, the transformation fit a familiar pattern. Hollywood rewards the reveal, but the bill comes due in the quiet spaces between projects when your face has to be your face in every kind of light. Mama June. Shannon. Mama June's arc is less a straight line and more a map with detours, breakdowns, and a lot of repair bills. She had the dramatic surgery-assisted loss, hundreds of pounds, and for a while it looked like a victory lap. Then life hit hard. A child's illness, stress eating, regain. That's not a scandal, that's human. But after such a massive first transformation, the second attempt, powered by injections, landed differently. Skin that had already stretched and shrunk once was asked to do it again. The result, especially in the face, was jarring, full to slack to hollow, sometimes within weeks, and all of it documented online in real time. Fans weren't cruel so much as worried. The comments read like a chorus of, "Are you okay?" Because sometimes the issue isn't pounds, it's whiplash. Bodies can adapt to change, but they do better with rhythm than with strobe lights. When you've already done the most extreme thing a body can do, another sprint rarely looks like health, it looks like a scramble. Tori Spelling. Tori Spelling has the rare kind of public archive that few people possess. Decades of footage, a role that defined an era, and enough red carpet photos to fill a museum. That makes any transformation almost scientific. There's a baseline. In recent years, her face shifted from its familiar roundness into something more severe. Sharper cheekbones, a hollow at the temples and under the eyes. That almost skeletal look that lighting directors hate and tabloids love. What made people stop scrolling wasn't just the look. It was her own observation that her children sometimes don't recognize her in old episodes. Imagine that. When weight loss routes escalate, when the first option feels ineffective and a stronger one takes its place, you're not just wrestling with willpower, you're wrestling with biology. And biology is stubborn. On shows and appearances, the camera exaggerated the new angles. The internet did what it always does, and the quiet question beneath all the noise remained. At what point does transformation stop being a goal and start becoming a moving target you can't catch? Robbie Williams. Robbie Williams is a fascinating case because men typically have a little more buffer in the face, more muscle, more fat distribution, a bit more room before gaunt becomes the headline. And yet his change was the kind you can spot across a room. The face looked longer, the planes under the eyes cut deeper, the mid-face thinned out. He spoke about using something like the medication, and the visuals matched what observers have warned about. When the weight drops fast, the face is the receipt. What stood out was the way professionals started pointing to his photos as examples of what can happen. If you're being cited in lectures and interviews as the cautionary picture, the story's no longer personal. It's public health theater. This isn't about shaming anyone. It's about acknowledging that quick fixes aren't designed for cameras. They're designed for numbers. The camera, unfortunately, is designed for faces. Christina Aguilera. With Christina Aguilera, the concern wasn't hushed. It was loud, and it came from fans who've watched her reinvent herself for 2 decades. The new look was striking. Cheeks cut in, eyes appearing more recessed, the kind of stark cheekbone moment that stylists love on a runway, but that can read as unwell in everyday light. She didn't confirm anything, and she doesn't have to. But timelines tell stories. When a face changes that quickly, people worry, because the body usually prefers slow. For Christina, the hardest part is the contrast. We all carry a mental photograph of her. Big voice, fuller face, glowing softness. When that image flips in a short window, the brain interprets it as danger, even when the person is making deliberate choices. That's the paradox of fame. Evolution gets labeled as crisis if it happens on a schedule that audiences can't emotionally process, and the internet gives us about 12 seconds to process anything. Lottie Moss. Lottie Moss's account is the one that makes everyone sit up. She described dosing that wasn't matched to her body, reportedly a level intended for someone roughly double her weight, and the consequences were immediate. In 2 weeks, the number on the scale plunged. Faces don't lie under that kind of drop. Dramatic hollowing, a jut to the cheekbone that looks like sculpture rather than skin, the eyes set into shadows that aren't makeup. Then came the hospital, the dehydration, the seizures, and a blunt recap on her podcast that sounded like someone who'd survived a rushing river and wanted to warn people standing on the bank. Lottie was already slim. She was also young. If anyone's physiology should have cushioned the blow, it was hers. The fact that it didn't, that it spiraled so quickly, says more about misuse and mismatch than about vanity. This is what happens when a shortcut becomes a leap across a canyon. The takeaway, and what's next? These 10 transformations sparked conversations that Hollywood often tries to avoid. They show the parts of rapid weight loss that don't fit neatly into before and after squares, the elastic that doesn't bounce back, the identity that feels thinner than the waistline, the unexpected cost of chasing an image the industry keeps moving just out of reach. If this opened your eyes to what's really happening behind the filtered photos, you might want to keep going down the rabbit hole. I've got a deep dive on celebrity cosmetic disasters, procedures that promised a new chapter but wrote a very different story. It's linked in the description, and it's a wild ride. Don't forget to say where you're watching from and what time it is there. I love seeing the map light up. And if you found this useful, tap subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss the next breakdown. I'll see you in the comments.